2 more questions.
You all brought up Douglas Murray briefly, and sort of the Douglas Murray Dave Smith debate just has me wondering about this sort of paradox on the right, I think, where both we don't want to be the party that suppresses free speech, but also the fact that sort of people are questioning whether Churchill was like the bad guy or the good guy is kind of indicative of like an issue. And I'm wondering if this is, you see this as a rift on the right, and what effects it could have long term for the success of the right in the future.
Yeah, I'm glad you asked the question because I've been thinking about this a lot. I've talked about it a little bit on my show, but I've tried to sit back a bit with this because I'm just trying to see how it's shaking out with everybody. Look, it's partly what I was saying before about the ancient alienification of everything, right? Like if we are just going to just unfurl absolutely everything, if experts will mean absolutely nothing and history will mean nothing and we can just upend everything, we are going to be in really bad shape. If one of us had a heart attack up here, we would need a cardiac specialist. You wouldn't just ask somebody to, can somebody just perform surgery? Like, obviously. I would say that, you know, as it pertains to Rogan, you know, it would be the same thing with me. I wouldn't want anyone telling me who I can have on my show. And I've gotten a lot of shit over the years for having controversial people on my show who subsequently became much less controversial as the culture shifted. So I would never tell Rogan who he should have on his show. But there is an issue. I think what you're referencing really is, so if the mainstream media has failed, and especially post-COVID and all the lies that have just been pushed on us, and very fine people on both sides, and Brett Kavanaugh's a serial rapist, and the Covington kids are racist, and Jesse Smollett was lynched, and all of these crazy things that they lied to us about over and over and over again. Well, now it's incumbent, I think, on the ascendant media to do a better job. It was one thing when we were just hacking away at people who were lying, and that was important for sure. But now the shoe's on the other foot, and I think there is a bigger responsibility on us to do something that is more truthful. Now, that's my feeling about it, and that's how I conduct myself. That may not be Rogan's feeling about it, and that's fine, by the way. I'm not for, so even though I thought Dave Smith is not particularly bright and really doesn't know what he's talking about, and I think his premises are awful and his positions are completely misunderstood, I don't begrudge Rogan putting him on. I think that Douglas is a much better effective communicator of what is actually true as it pertains to the history and the current reality of the situation in the Middle East. But everybody has to figure this out for themselves. I think this is going to be an unbelievable challenge for you guys.
Why do people look to comedians, in your estimation? Are they overthinking a comedian's role and a
Well, comedians are supposed to be the truth tellers. I think it was Oscar Wilde said, if you want to tell people the truth, you better be funny or they'll kill you, right? So it's like something happened in the world of Well, first off, comedians went to podcasts, right? Yes. Comedians used to be stuck in comedy clubs. The idea was in the 80s when comedy really boomed, you'd be in the clubs for like 3 years, let's say. You'd perfect a 5-minute set. You'd get on Johnny Carson. If Johnny liked you, you got a sitcom. You were Tim Allen. You were Jerry Seinfeld. You were Louis Anderson. You were Tim Allen, blah, blah, blah. And then you had a career. Once that all dried up, because you guys don't watch any sitcoms, right? The last thing that maybe some of you guys watch was Big Bang Theory, and it's been off for 10 years or something. Then podcasts blew up. And so all of the people that wanted out on that, they were just early in on podcasts. And that includes me, by the way.
But they're just comedians on podcasts talking.
No,
Why
so they're
are people so upset about that?
Well, so I think what's happened is people have an inherent desire for the truth, and we're looking for the truth one way or another, whether you're looking at it through a religious prism or a secular prism or whatever it might be. And because the mainstream media has failed so horrifically, we've all just gone anywhere, right? We've just gone anywhere.
You've become the news for a lot of people,
right?
And you have too.
And that's so look, that to some extent, I consider that an honor, but I also consider it like it's a heavy lift. So I want to treat my show in the most honest, respectful way possible. Someone else might want to just have everybody on to fucking...
You might be a comedian who likes conspiracy theories, which
you might, and that's just fine, right? Which is why I would never call for Rogan censoring, not having someone
It's
on. You can-
dangerous when it becomes part of the official policy of the party, which it shouldn't, obviously.
Right. So it's a huge challenge. I don't know what the answer to this is really. Are we all just going to have our own truth? And, basically, as Scott Adams, the creator of Dilbert, has been saying for years, it's like we're all watching the same movie and we're having two completely different reactions. So it would be like the old days. You go to a movie theater, 500 people walk out as if they all saw something different. And that's that's going to really be the great challenge for
You know
all
what I
of
do
us.
is I just try to listen to both sides. So like you had your
But
local
the problem is now there's
most
50
people don't.
sides
Yeah,
on-
but most
on
people
everything.
don't do that. I would
Yeah.
listen to on locals Scott,
Yeah.
and I'd be like, oh, okay, yeah, he's got these things right, but obviously he's super biased on these things and partisan. Then I go listen to Rachel Maddow or whoever on the left, and I'd be like, okay, yeah, she's right about these things, but she's completely off the rails about these things, right? And then you just kind of triangulate the truth. And I think that's where people are going to get to. Don't take Dave's podcast, my podcasts as the truth. Or Joe's. Just take them as points of information and opinions and some data, and then triangulate your own truth over time and going to the original text, et cetera. But, trust no one and like figure it out for yourself is where people are going to wind up. And I
Yeah.
think blindly following anybody is such an obvious mistake. Like he's Joe Rogan. He's a comedian. He's a commentator. And he has a bunch of weird friends on and he has really great people on. Take it as one data point. If you see Trump on All In, you see Trump on, you obviously know there's three people who are super rooting for him. You have one person who's, a bit of a critic. Just take that as one data point.
But I would also add that to be here at a place that's building new institutions of learning, it's because the other institutions failed that led to this being built, right? It's because the mainstream media lied about so many things that the alt media was built. But now it's built, and now you have something new here. What this place turns into will be what you guys turned it into, and what the media will turn into will be what we turned it into. And there's an incredible opportunity, and it ain't going to be easy to parse that out.
Creative destruction.
Awesome. Well, gentlemen, thank you very much. Let's give a round of